The dining hall is a cathedral of darkness. I follow Hades through corridors that twist and wind like the roots of ancient trees, each turn revealing new wonders, carved from obsidian and shadow. The blue flames follow us, dancing in the air like curious spirits, casting our elongated shadows across walls that shimmer with veins of silver and deep purple amethyst. When we enter the hall itself, I stop breathing. The ceiling arches impossibly high, and then my breath catches it, becomes transparent. Through some magic I can't comprehend, the solid stone gives way to crystal clarity, revealing a vista that shouldn't exist this deep underground. Stars, countless stars scattered across an infinite darkness, swirling in patterns that look like spilled silver paint. Galaxies spiral in the distance, nebulas of purple and blue and colours I have no names for, all slowly rotating in an eternal cosmic dance. It's as if Hades has captured a piece of the night sky itself and imprisoned it above his hall. Massive columns rise like the bones of titans toward this impossible ceiling, each one carved with scenes I can barely make out, figures in flowing robes, crowns of bone and flower, rivers that seem to move within the stone itself. A long table dominates the center, black as midnight, set with silver plates and goblets that catch the blue light like captured stars. But it's the silence that strikes me most, not the oppressive silence of Mother's garden, where every sound is muffled by flowers and false peace. This silence is vast and deep, like standing at the edge of an ocean trench. It doesn't press down, it opens up, creating space for thoughts I've never been allowed to have. Sit, Hades says, gesturing to a chair near the head of the table. I do, sinking into cushions that feel like crushed velvet and smoke. He takes the seat beside me, not at the head where a king should sit, but close enough that I can feel the cold that radiates from him. See the way the blue flames reflect in his silver eyes. Food appears without servants, materializing on the plates as if conjured from shadow itself. Fruits I don't recognize, their skins dark as plums, but gleaming like opals. Bread that steams with warmth, impossibly golden against the dark table. Wine that swirls with purple-black depth in crystal goblets. My stomach clenches with hunger, but Mother's warnings echo in my mind. Asterisk. Never eat the food of the dead. Never accept hospitality from the Dark King. One bite, and you'll be bound forever. Asterisk. Hades notices my hesitation. Of course he does. You're thinking of the stories, he says, swirling the wine in his goblet. The warnings about eating in the underworld. Should I be? That depends. He sets down his glass and leans back, studying me with that intensity that makes my skin prickle. Are you afraid of being bound to this place? I should say yes. I should push away from this table and demand he return me to the surface. Bargain or no bargain. Instead I ask, what happens if I eat? His expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or satisfaction. The food here is different from what grows above. It carries the essence of this realm. Eating it changes you, makes you more of the underworld than of the mortal world. But the bargain isn't sealed yet. He sets down his goblet, his silver eyes meeting mine with devastating intensity. We made an agreement in the forest, yes, but words alone don't bind gods, Persephone. To make it real, unbreakable, you would need to seal it properly, with the right fruit, at the right time. His voice drops lower. But the food here, the ordinary food, that simply changes you, makes you more of this realm. It's not binding, just transformative. A choice. He's giving me a choice even now. And if I eat? I ask, gesturing to the bread and fruit on the table. Then you'll taste what the underworld has to offer. You'll understand this place better. But you won't be bound. Not unless you choose to be, when the time comes. A choice. How long has it been since anyone offered me a real choice? I reach for the bread, and Hades goes very still. The piece tears easily, steam rising from the soft interior. And when I bring it to my lips, I taste honey and something darker herbs that grow in shadows, grain that ripens without sun. It melts on my tongue, and I realize I'm ravenous. Hades releases a breath I didn't know he was holding. Why did you want me to eat? I ask between bites. Because you're hungry. He says it like it's the simplest thing in the world. And I don't keep my guests. He pauses, a slight smile curving his lips. All my queens in training, starving. The days that follow blur together in a way time never did above. In Mother's garden, every hour was accounted for, every moment scheduled with rituals and duties, and endless, suffocating perfection. But here, in the depths of the underworld, time moves differently. Hours stretch like pulled taffy, or compress into heartbeats. I lose track of day and night concepts that barely exist in this realm of eternal twilight. Hades becomes my guide to this strange new world. He shows me the river Styx, its waters black as ink and somehow luminous, flowing through caverns lined with crystals that sing when the current shifts. We watch souls drift past like pale lanterns, and he tells me their stories in a voice that holds no judgment, only ancient understanding. As we stand on the obsidian shore, a boat materializes from the mist-ancient wood that looks like it's been sailing these waters since the beginning of time. The figure steering it is unlike anything I expected. Charon is old, impossibly old, but not frail. He's lean and weathered like driftwood, with a face carved by millennia into something between kindness and absolute indifference. His eyes are the most striking thing about him. Pale, grey, almost colourless, like stones worn smooth by endless water. They've seen everything, those eyes, and been surprised by nothing for thousands of years. His hair hangs in long, grey-white strands, beneath a hood the colour of fog, and his hands on the oar are gnarled but steady. But when he sees Hades, something shifts in that ancient face. Not quite a smile. Charon seems beyond such simple expressions, but a softening, a recognition of familiarity, respect. My lord. Charon's voice is like gravel sliding over riverbed stones, rough but not unpleasant. Then his gaze shifts to me, and those pale eyes study me with unsettling intensity. And you've brought colour to the grey. Persephone, Hades says, and there's warmth in his voice I haven't heard before. This is Charon. He's been ferrying souls longer than most gods have existed. Not by choice, initially, Charon says, and I realize with a start that he's joking. His expression doesn't change, but there's a dry humour in his tone. But the work grows on you, literally. I think I'm part river now. Hades' lips quirk. How are the waters today? Calm. Quiet. We had a philosopher earlier who tried to debate the nature of death with me for the entire crossing. Charon leans on his oar, his pale eyes gleaming with something that might be amusement. I told him he'd have eternity to contemplate it on the other side. He seemed disappointed by my lack of engagement. You could have debated him, Hades says. I could have, but then I'd have to debate them all. And some of these souls talk enough without encouragement. Karen's gaze returns to me, assessing. This one, though, she has questions in her eyes. Real ones, not philosophical nonsense. I find myself stepping closer to the shore, drawn by his strange, timeless presence. Do you ever get tired of it? The crossing, over and over, every single day, Karen says without hesitation, and his honesty startles me. But that's the point, isn't it? The crossing isn't meant to be exciting. It's meant to be transitional, a pause between what was and what comes next. I am that pause made flesh. He tilts his head, studying me. Though I suspect you understand transitions yourself, goddess of spring standing in the realm of death. Before I can respond, a soul drifts down to the shore, an old woman, translucent and peaceful. She approaches Karen's boat with the slow acceptance of someone who's lived a full life. I expect Charon to simply ferry her across, but instead, he does something unexpected. He reaches into his worn cloak and pulls out a small, carved wooden bird, no bigger than my thumb. He places it gently in the woman's translucent hand. For your granddaughter, he says quietly. She left it at your grave. Thought you might want it with you. The woman's ghostly face transforms with joy, and she clutches the tiny bird like it's made of gold. When she looks at Charon, there are tears in her spectral eyes. Thank you, she whispers. Safe crossing, he replies, and helps her into the boat with surprising gentleness. I stare at Hades, questions tumbling through my mind. But he's watching Karen with an expression I've never seen before, pride, and something deeper, affection. After the soul drifts away across the dark water, Charon returns his attention to us. You're teaching her the realm, he observes to Hades, showing her it's not what they say above. She deserves to see the truth. Karen's pale eyes fix on me again. And what do you think of the truth, Spring Goddess? Does it frighten you, knowing that death isn't torture and torment, but simply this? I look out at the river, at the souls drifting peacefully, at the ancient ferryman who carries small tokens of love across the boundary of life and death. I think of the stories Mother told me, of screaming and suffering, of a cruel king and his terrible servants. I think, I say slowly, that the truth is kinder than the lies. Something flickers across Karen's weathered face. Approval, perhaps, or recognition. He nods once, sharp and decisive. She'll do, he says to Hades. And somehow, I know it's the highest compliment he gives. She sees clearly. That's rare, even among gods. He pushes his boat back from the shore, preparing to return to his eternal work. Bring her back sometime. I'll tell her about the poet who tried to charm his way across, or the warrior who challenged me to single combat. You're full of stories today, Hades observes. I'm full of stories every day. I just rarely have an audience who'd appreciate them. Charon's boat begins to drift into the mist, but his voice carries back clearly. Don't break her heart, my lord. The river has enough sadness without adding more. The boat disappears into the luminous darkness, and I'm left standing beside Hades, my understanding of this realm shifting once again. He cares about you, I say softly. We've known each other a very long time. Hades' hand finds mine, his fingers cold but steady. Charon remembers what it was like when I first came here, young and angry at being given a kingdom of death while my brothers got sky and sea. He was the first one to treat me like a person, not a god, not a king, just someone doing a job that needed doing. I squeeze his hand, understanding blooming. This is what Mother never told me, that the underworld isn't ruled by a tyrant, but by someone who knows every soul that passes through, who keeps ancient friendships, who lets his ferrymen collect trinkets for the dead. He's wonderful, I whisper. He's seen every soul that ever died, Hades says quietly. And he still finds ways to be kind. That's not wonderful. That's miraculous. We stand together in silence, watching the river Styx flow endlessly onward, and I feel something settle in my chest. This place, with its strange inhabitants and unexpected gentleness, is becoming less foreign with every moment. It's becoming home. They're not suffering, I realize aloud, watching a soul float peacefully downstream. No, Hades stands beside me, close enough that his sleeve brushes mine. That's another lie they tell about my kingdom. Death isn't punishment, it's rest. He takes me to the fields of asphodel, where souls wander through meadows of silver grass, beneath a sky that shifts between deep purple and black. They seem content, these spirits, existing in a peace that Mother's eternal spring could never provide. It's beautiful, I whisper. You sound surprised. I am. I turn to him and find him already watching me. Everything I was told about this place was wrong. Was it? His voice drops lower. Or were they just afraid of what you might find here? The question haunts me as he leads me deeper into his realm, showing me wonders I never dreamed existed. Forests of crystalline trees that chime in silent winds. Lakes of liquid starlight that reflect skies I've never seen. Gardens where strange, dark flowers bloom. Not the cheerful riot of Mother's domain, but elegant, gothic beauty that takes my breath away. And through it all, Hades remains maddeningly, devastatingly close. He never touches me beyond the necessary hand at my elbow to steady me on uneven ground, fingers at my back to guide me through a doorway. But the tension between us builds like a storm, gathering force, electric and inevitable. I catch him watching me when he thinks I'm not looking, his silver eyes tracking my movements with an intensity that makes my pulse race. And I find myself watching him in return, noticing details I shouldn't. The way his jaw tightens when I laugh, the slight softening of his expression when I marvel at some new wonder, the elegant strength in his hands when he gestures while speaking. He's terrifying, yes, powerful beyond measure, but with me, there's a gentleness that undoes me more thoroughly than any force could. One evening, or what passes for evening here, he takes me to his library. The room steals what little breath I have left. It's a tower carved from the heart of a mountain, spiraling up into darkness, with shelves upon shelves of books, stretching higher than I can see. More of those blue flames drift through the space, illuminating titles in languages both familiar and strange. This is... I spin slowly, trying to take it all in. How many books are there? I stopped counting millennia ago. Hades moves past me, trailing his fingers along the spines. Every story ever told, every secret ever written, every truth too dangerous for the living to know. I move to the nearest shelf, drawn by some inexplicable pull, and my fingers land on a leather-bound volume. When I pull it free, dust motes dance in the blue light, and I see the title embossed in silver. Asterisk. The language of growing things. Asterisk. Careful with that one, Hades says from behind me. close behind me. I can feel the cold radiating from him, raising goosebumps on my arms. It's older than most civilizations. What's it about? Magic. The kind your mother tried to keep from you. He reaches around me, his arm bracketing my shoulder. As he opens the book to a page near the middle, his voice drops to a murmur near my ear. The kind that doesn't distinguish between life and death, light and dark. The kind that simply times, is asterisk. I stare at the pages, at illustrations of plants that seem to move in the flickering light, at text that writhes and reforms as I try to read it. My heart hammers against my ribs, but not from fear of the book. It's his proximity, the cold smoke scent of him, the way his breath stirs my hair, the knowledge that if I leaned back just slightly, I would be pressed against his chest. Persephone. My name is a rumble in his throat, a question and a warning and a prayer all at once. I turn and find myself trapped between the bookshelf and his body. He hasn't moved closer, but he hasn't moved away either. His silver eyes are molten in the blue light, fixed on my face with an intensity that should frighten me. It doesn't. Why are you doing this? The question comes out breathier than I intended. Doing what? Showing me all of this. Being. I gesture helplessly between us. Whatever this is, his hand rises, slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. When I don't, his fingers brush my cheek with devastating gentleness. Because you deserve to see it. Because you deserve to times choose asterisk. And because his thumb traces my lower lip and my breath catches. Because I have waited millennia for something beautiful in my darkness. And I will not take what isn't freely given. The words land like a physical touch, heating my blood despite the cold of his fingers. I lean into his hand without thinking, and his eyes flash silver bright. Then he steps back, breaking the spell, and I feel the loss like a physical ache. Come, he says, his voice rougher than before. There's something else I want to show you. The something else is a balcony. It shouldn't exist. We're deep underground, after all. But somehow, impossibly, it opens onto a vista that steals my breath. Mountains of black stone pierce a sky of deep purple, streaked with rivers of silver that flow upward like inverted waterfalls. In the distance, I can see the gleam of what might be a sea, its surface reflecting colors that have no names. This is what I see, Hades says quietly, standing beside me at the railing. This is my kingdom, not torture chambers and rivers of fire, just vastness, silence, peace. I grip the cold stone of the balcony, trying to process the beauty of it. It's magnificent. It's lonely. The admission is so raw, so honest, that I turn to look at him. His profile is carved from shadow and starlight, regal and remote, but there's something vulnerable in the set of his shoulders. How long have you been alone? Since the beginning. He doesn't look at me, keeping his gaze fixed on his kingdom. The other gods fear me. The souls I tend don't stay. And those few who might have. He finally turns, and the look in his eyes makes my chest tight. They never chose to remain. Asterisk. Until now, asterisk. The unspoken words hang between us. I'm not staying forever, I remind him. But the words feel hollow. The bargain, I know. His hand covers mine on the railing, and the cold of his skin against mine feels right somehow. 6 months. I know, but for 6 months, I won't be alone. And perhaps, he hesitates, vulnerable in a way I've never seen him. Perhaps that will be enough. It won't be, I realize with startling clarity. 6 months won't be enough for either of us. The thought should terrify me. Instead, it feels like freedom. Days drift into something that might be weeks. Time has no meaning here, and I find I don't miss it. Hades continues to show me his realm, but increasingly, we simply exist together, reading in comfortable silence in his library, walking through the crystalline forests, sitting on that impossible balcony and watching his kingdom shift and breathe, and always, that tension builds between us. Every accidental brush of hands feels electric. Every shared glance holds weight. Every moment alone together is charged with possibility. And I find myself craving his presence like air, counting the moments until I see him again. He's careful with me, I realize. Devastatingly so. He maintains distance, even when I can see the hunger in his eyes, the way his hands flex like he wants to reach for me but won't. He's waiting for something, and it takes me far too long to understand what. He's waiting for me to choose him, not because of the bargain, not because I'm trapped here, but because I want to. The realization should feel like pressure. Instead, it feels like being seen for the first time in my existence. One day, or night, or whatever passes for time here, he takes me to a place he calls his sanctuary. It's a garden, but nothing like Mother's, where hers is an explosion of colour and life. His is austere beauty incarnate. Black soil that gleams like crushed gems, trees with bark like polished obsidian and leaves of deep purple, vines that wind through the space, covered in silver thorns, but producing no flowers. It's barren, Hades says, and there's something almost apologetic in his voice. Nothing truly grows here. I've tried for centuries to cultivate it, but he gestures at the lifeless branches, the empty vines. Life doesn't flourish in darkness. I walk through the space, running my fingers over the smooth bark of the trees, feeling the cold soil beneath my feet. It should feel dead, empty, but instead, there's a potential here, a waiting. It's not barren, I say slowly. It's just waiting. For what? I don't know yet. Hades moves to stand beside me near a twisted tree, its branches reaching toward the purple-black sky like grasping fingers. He's close again, always close now, but never close enough, and I can feel that familiar cold radiating from him. Persephone. He says my name like a caress. Whatever he was going to say dies when I step closer. His eyes widen fractionally, but he doesn't move away, doesn't back up, just watches me with that intensity that makes me feel like I'm the only thing that exists in his entire realm. My heart hammers so hard, I'm certain he can hear it. Every nerve in my body is screaming awareness of his proximity, the cold smoke scent of him, the way his chest rises and falls with carefully controlled breaths. I need to do something, say something, move. Instead, I reach out and touch the nearest branch. The reaction is instantaneous. Silver light explodes from the point of contact, racing through the tree like lightning through veins. The bark cracks and reforms, darkness giving way to deep grey shot through with luminous silver, and then gods. Then flowers bloom, not the cheerful yellows and pinks of Mother's garden. These are the colour of moonlight and shadow, silver petals with edges of deep purple, their centres gleaming like captured stars. They unfurl along every branch, spreading through the tree like wildfire, and the scent that fills the air is nothing like the cloying sweetness above. This smells like midnight and possibility, cold stone and mystery. I jerk my hand back, stumbling away from the tree, and would have fallen if Hades' hands hadn't caught my shoulders. What? I can't finish, can't breathe. The tree continues to transform, silver flowers spreading until every branch is heavy with blooms that glow in the blue light. What did I do? Magic. Hades' voice is rough, with something I can't name, or maybe, or hunger. His hands tighten on my shoulders, and I realize he's pulled me back against his chest. You're magic, but it's wrong. I stare at the silver flowers, at the darkness still shot through them. It's not green, not alive. It's perfect. He turns me to face him, and the look on his face stops my heart. There's no fear there, no disgust or disappointment, only wonder, pure and absolute. Persephone, it's perfect. It's dark. My voice cracks. I'm supposed to bring life, not this. This is life. His hands frame my face, gentle despite their strength. Life that belongs to shadows as much as sun. Life that thrives in darkness. Your mother taught you that only light can create, but she was wrong. She was always wrong. Tears burn my eyes. Tears I don't fully understand. I don't know how to control it. You don't need to control it. His thumbs brush away the tears as they fall. His touch impossibly tender. You need to embrace it. This power, this darkness, it's not corruption, Persephone. It's truth. It's you. I look up at him, at this terrifying, powerful God who kneels before me in spirit, if not in body, who looks at my strange, dark magic like it's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. And something inside me, something I've kept locked and buried for my entire existence, cracks open. I'm afraid, I whisper. I know. He presses his forehead to mine, and his next words ghost across my lips. But you don't have to be afraid here. Not with me. Never with me. The garden around us continues to transform. The silver flowers spread to the other trees, jumping from branch to branch, like they're eager to exist. Vines that were bare erupt with blooms that drip silver petals like tears. Even the soil begins to shimmer, sprouting strange, beautiful plants that have no names in any mortal tongue. And through it all, Hades holds me like I'm something precious, something worth protecting. Stay, he murmurs against my hair. After the 6 months, choose to stay. I should say no, should remind him of the bargain, of Mother, of all the reasons why this is impossible. But the word that wants to rise is yes. The gardens continue to bloom around us, and I let myself imagine it. A life here, in this beautiful darkness. A life where I'm not perfect spring incarnate, but something wilder, stranger, true. The thought should terrify me. Instead, it feels like coming home. I don't see the pomegranate at first. It appears 3 days later, or what I think is 3 days. Time has become meaningless, measured only in moments with Hades and moments apart. I'm walking through the gardens we created together, marveling at how the silver flowers have spread. When I notice it hanging from a low branch, the fruit is like nothing that grows above. Its skin is deep purple black, almost the color of the underworld sky. But when the blue flames catch it, it gleams like a jewel. It's impossibly perfect, heavy with juice, and something about it calls to me with a pull I can't explain. I reach for it before I can think better, and the moment my fingers close around it, I know this is significant, important, forbidden. The pomegranate comes free easily, fitting in my palm like it was made for my hand. This close, I can smell it tart and sweet, and something else. Something that makes my mouth water and my heart race. Persephone. Hades' voice makes me turn. He's standing at the garden's edge, backlit by blue flames, and the expression on his face is unreadable. I found this, I say unnecessarily, holding up the fruit. I know. He moves closer, but slowly, like I'm a wild thing that might bolt. Do you know what it is? A pomegranate. Not just any pomegranate. He stops a few feet away, and something in his stillness tells me this moment matters. That fruit is grown from the soil of the underworld, fed by the rivers of the dead, ripened in darkness. It's the food that binds. I finish, and his jaw tightens. Yes, I should put it down, should step away. This is the final line, the one thing I cannot cross if I want to return to the surface when the 6 months are done. But my fingers tighten around the fruit, and I realize with startling clarity that I don't want to put it down. This will seal our bargain, Hades says, his voice careful, weighted with meaning. Forever, irrevocably, 6 months here, 6 months above, bound by magic older than the gods themselves. Once you eat those seeds, nothing, not your mother, not Zeus, not fate itself, can break what we've agreed to. Then what will it change? His eyes meet mine, silver and intense. Everything, nothing. It will make you more of this realm than the mortal world. It will mark you as mine. He stops, corrects himself. As belonging to the underworld, you'll always be able to return here, always feel the pull of this place, but you'll also be changed. I finish. Irrevocably, yes. I look down at the pomegranate, at its dark, gleaming skin. Mother's warnings echo through my mind. All the stories of foolish mortals and gods who ate the food of the dead and were trapped forever, transformed, corrupted. But I think of the silver flowers blooming in darkness, of the magic that flowed through me, dark and strange and utterly mine, of Hades looking at me like I'm precious, like I'm perfect, exactly as I am, shadows and all. What if I want to be changed? The question comes out steady, sure. Hades goes very still. Persephone, what if I'm tired of being spring incarnate? The words tumble out faster now. Everything I've been feeling crystallizing into truth. What if I want to be something else? Something darker? What if I want to belong here as much as there? You don't know what you're saying, don't I? I step closer, closing the distance between us. I've spent my entire existence being what everyone else needed me to be. Perfect spring, eternal bloom, my mother's obedient daughter. But here, I gesture at the silver flowers, at the garden we created together. Here, I can be something true. His hands flex at his sides like he wants to reach for me but won't let himself. If you do this, there's no taking it back. I know. Your mother will rage. I know. She'll come for you. She'll try to tear you away from here, from this realm, from... He stops, his throat working. From you, I finish softly. His eyes close, and when they open again, they're blazing with an intensity that steals my breath. Yes, the pomegranate is heavy in my hand. I can feel it calling to me, to something deep in my bones that recognizes it as right, as mine. I think of Mother's garden, of centuries of suffocating perfection. I think of rules and expectations, and the gilded cage of her love. Then I think of Hades kneeling to tend my wound, of his library full of forbidden knowledge, of the way he looks at me like I'm the answer to a question he's been asking for millennia. I think of silver flowers blooming in darkness. I think of choice. My fingers find the seam of the fruit, and it splits open easily, revealing seeds like garnets, like drops of blood, like tiny jewels. The scent that rises is intoxicating, tart and sweet, and earthy and complex. Persephone, my name is a warning, a prayer. Are you certain? I meet his eyes, and for the first time in my existence, I am utterly, completely sure. Yes, I raise the pomegranate to my lips and bite down. The taste explodes across my tongue, sharp and sweet and dark, like nothing I've ever experienced. It's the taste of midnight and mystery, of cold stone and deep earth, of everything Mother tried to keep from me. The juice runs down my chin, staining my lips, and I feel something shift inside me. Not breaking, not corrupting, awakening. I eat another seed, another. Each one is a choice, a claiming, a transformation. Magic hums through my veins, not the green gold of spring, but silver shadow, deep and powerful, and mine. When I finally lower the fruit, I've eaten 6 seeds, 6 pieces of the underworld, now living inside me. Hades is staring at me, like I've just rewritten the fabric of reality. 6 seeds, he says roughly. For 6 months, I lick the juice from my lips, savoring the lingering taste. Seemed appropriate. He moves then, faster than thought, and suddenly his hands are cupping my face, his thumbs smearing the pomegranate juice on my chin. His eyes are wild, hungry, amazed. Do you have any idea what you've just done? His voice is raw. Yes. I lean into his touch, fearless. I chose. Persephone, whatever he was going to say, is lost as the world shifts. The change is violent, immediate. The air pressure drops, making my ears pop. The blue flames flicker and dim, and through the garden, through the very stone of the underworld itself, I feel something tearing. No. Hades' expression goes from wonder to fury in a heartbeat. No, not yet. We still have time. But time, it seems, has run out. The sky above splits open, and light pours through, not the gentle light of dawn, but the harsh, burning brightness of summer at its peak. It sears my eyes after so long in the gentle darkness, and I stumble back, raising my hand to shield my face. Persephone! Mother's voice crashes through the underworld, like a tsunami, all rage and terror, and possessive love. The ground beneath my feet cracks, flowers, green flowers, wrong flowers erupting through the stone, spreading like a plague, smothering the silver blooms. No, I whisper, watching my dark garden die. No, please. But the pulling has already started. Some force beyond my control is dragging me upward, toward that terrible light, away from the darkness that has become home. Hades grabs my hand, his grip iron strong. Fight it, he snarls. Persephone, fight. I can't. The pulling is too strong, ripping me away from him. Our fingers slide apart despite his strength, despite my desperate grip. Hades, I will come for you. he swears, his silver eyes blazing even as the distance between us grows. I will find you. This isn't over. Then the light swallows me whole. The transition is agony. I'm torn through layers of earth and stone, through the veil between his world and hers. And when I finally crash back into the mortal realm, I'm gasping, disoriented, my skin burning from the sudden heat. I'm in Mother's garden. Of course I am. The flowers press in around me, their colours too bright, their scents too sweet. Everything exactly as I left it, except now it feels like a prison I can see the bars of. Persephone! Mother crashes into me, her arms wrapping around me like chains disguised as comfort. She's sobbing, checking me over with frantic hands, pulling back to look at my face, and then crushing me close again. My baby, she weeps. My baby, I thought I'd lost you. I searched everywhere. I tore apart the earth looking for you. Mother, I try to pull back, but her grip is too tight. Shh, you're safe now. You're home. Whatever that monster did to you, whatever he... She stops abruptly. I feel it the moment she notices, the way her body goes rigid against mine. Slowly, she pulls back to look at me. Her eyes search my face with growing suspicion, and I know what she's looking for, some sign, some change, some evidence of what happened below. No, the word is barely a whisper. Her hands come up to grip my shoulders, her fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. No, tell me you didn't. I meet her eyes and say nothing. Persephone. Her voice rises, shrill with panic. You didn't eat anything down there, did you? Tell me the truth. Tell me you didn't eat the food of the dead. This is the moment. The choice that matters more than any bargain. I could lie. I could tell her I was careful, that I knew the rules, that I never let a single seed pass my lips. She would believe me because she wants to, because the alternative is unthinkable. But I'm done lying, done being what everyone else needs me to be. I think of Hades' face when I bit into the pomegranate, of silver flowers blooming in darkness, of a kingdom that felt more like home than this garden ever has. I straighten my spine, lift my chin, and meet my mother's eyes. Yes, the single word falls between us, like a death sentence. Mother's face goes through a series of transformations, denial, disbelief, and then, finally, settling on an expression of such pure, incandescent rage that the flowers around us wither and die. What have you done? Her voice is barely human, shaking with fury. What have you done? I made a choice. A choice. She laughs, and it's a terrible sound. You foolish, foolish child. Do you have any idea what you've done? You've bound yourself to him, to death. She stops, her eyes widening as realization hits. You've sentenced yourself. 6 seeds, 6 months of every year in that cursed realm, and there's nothing I can do to break it. I know. You know, Mother's power explodes outward, and the garden erupts in violent growth, vines whipping through the air, flowers blooming and dying in seconds. You've signed yourself a death sentence, and you stand there calm as winter. It's not a death sentence. My own power rises to meet hers, and silver flowers start to push through her green ones. It's freedom. Mother stares at me, at the silver blooms pushing through her perfect garden, and I watch something break in her eyes. You're not my daughter anymore, she whispers. The words should hurt. Maybe they will, later. But right now, standing in this garden that used to be my prison, with the taste of darkness still sweet on my tongue, and Hades' promise echoing in my heart. I feel nothing but truth. No, I agree softly. I'm not just your daughter anymore. I'm also his queen. And somewhere far below, in a kingdom of shadows and silver flowers, I swear I feel him smile. Thank you for listening to part 2 of Beneath the Veil of Spring. I have a question for you. Do you think Demeter is just a worried mother, or is she the real villain of this story? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like this video and subscribe to Thorns and Desires. Part 3 will reveal the consequences of Persephone's choice, and you won't want to miss it. Until then, embrace your darkness